Hello guys, this is 12th Harbinger and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to compare Xianyun's Constellations and her signature weapon. Xianyun's weapon costs about 240 pulls, which is closer to her C2. So I will compare the weapon with the C1 and C2 and give my opinion on the other constellations. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's first take a look into her weapon, Crane's Echoing Call. First off, this weapon has a really high base attack, by which I mean the highest base attack in the game, that is 741 along with 16.5% attack, which is great for her buffs. When the equipping character hits an enemy with plunging attack, it will increase the team's plunge attack damage by 28% for 20 seconds. Triggering this passive is really easy with Xianyun, as the last hit of her elemental skill is considered as plunge damage. Additionally, it provides energy to the wielder, which is extremely important for Xianyun. When any party member hits an enemy with plunge attack, it will restore 2.5 energy to the wielder with a cooldown of 0.7 seconds. All in all, this weapon provides everything you want on Xianyun: high base attack, attack substat, team-wide plunge damage buff, and energy restoration. Not to mention, the weapon looks so good that you can hardly resist pulling for it. However, I wouldn't say this weapon is a must pull for her, as there are some great F2P options like the Oathsworn Eye or the Forwardness Codex, which work amazing on Xianyun. I would say this weapon is similar to Freedom Stone on Kazuha over the Iron Sting. Now moving on to her constellations. Xianyun's first constellation gives her an additional elemental skill charge. This is a decent constellation as you get more energy particles, ultimately reducing her energy requirements, letting you build more offensive stats on her. If I am not wrong, Xianyun generates a total of 5 energy particles on her elemental skill cast, which is a lot. However, this comes with a downside. Xianyun takes up a considerable amount of field time when compared to other supports, as her elemental skill takes longer time to cast. So using another elemental skill can make your rotations longer, which is not ideal. And wasting around 150 pulls just for some energy reduction is definitely not worth it. The only reason why you would want to pull for this is to go for her C2. Xianyun C2 is amazing. It increases Xianyun's attack by 20% after using a skill, which is great as her buff scales off her attack. Additionally, it doubles the effect of her passive that buffs plunge attack. It now increases the plunge attack damage by 400% instead of 200%, and maximum damage increase has been increased to 18,000. C3 increases burst level by 3, which is not significant. C4 gives the ability to heal using her skill, which is not needed as Xianyun already provides high healing. C5 increases elemental skill level by 3, which again is insignificant. Her C6 makes her a DPS. It increases the damage of her elemental skill dive by up to 70% depending on the number of leaps you have done, and it removes her elemental skill cooldown within 16 seconds of using her burst. Her elemental skill will not enter CD for 8 times. Whether or not to pull this constellation completely depends on you. This basically changes how you play Xianyun, just like Furina's C6 does to her. It makes her a DPS. And it also depends on your Primogems balance. Now let's move on to the comparison. The two big constellations of Xianyun are her C2 and C6. C2 increases her buffs and C6 makes her a DPS. Starting with her C1. As I mentioned earlier, it increases your rotations, which ultimately results in similar output you would get from C0 Xianyun. So I wouldn't recommend you to waste your Primogems just for some ER reduction. If you are looking for ER reduction, you could go for the weapon. However, as I mentioned earlier, there are some amazing F2P options that can be used to get good results from Xianyun. And also it is worth considering that it might cost you 200 plus pulls. The second weapon on this banner is also a support weapon. Even though Naida's weapon is not that bad, but it lacks versatility. So you should consider taking this risk. If you are willing to spend a large amount of Primogems, I would recommend you to go for a C2 instead of the weapon, as it doubles the buff you get from her passive. So if I had to rank a C1, C2 and weapon, I will rank it as follows: C2 followed by the weapon and C1. And the C2 should usually be a stopping point. For other constellations, as I mentioned earlier, C3, C4, C5 are just waste of Primogems, so you should not specifically pull for these constellations. And the C6 depends on your preferences and bank balance. If you are rich enough and want to use her as DPS, you can go for this constellation. If you want to use her as DPS and are not rich enough, you could still use her as main DPS at C0, although it won't be as strong as her C6, but still usable. Personally, I think none of her constellations or weapon are needed, and I wouldn't recommend you to pull for them unless you are a whale. Let me know in the comments if you are going to pull for her constellations or weapon or both. And that's all for this video. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe for more Genshin content. Thanks for watching.